Here we go. I thought that song would be absolutely perfect for not only new moon tonight, but Leo season. So I am full Leo, and this bathing suit I figured was very fitting. So super excited to have you guys here today. We are talking about the top women's insecurities when it comes to sex or intimacy, or really just all the things, right? Like we have a lot going on when it comes to being women, and I'm going to just break down the top ones. I know there's a lot of stuff that we could cover, and I'm going to get into all that over time, but these are going to be your top insecurities that I have found with not only myself, but with other women that I've worked with. So, number one top insecurity for women, and some may even not even know they have this, right? It's being completely programmed by society. And what I mean by that is we've been taught since we were really, really young on how to be a good girl, or how to be a good wife, or how to be a good girlfriend in it. And what that looks like is like pouring our heart and soul into the person and not really expecting anything back, right? Women are supposed to give, and we're supposed to be able to handle all of it. And we shouldn't bitch or moan or do anything like that. So that is the very first insecurity, just overall in general, is we don't feel like we can tap into our true soul's needs, and maybe they're not even recognizable anymore, right? Like maybe you're so into being like the best mom, wife, etc., friend, that you've lost sight of yourself. So that's like an insecurity I want to bring up at the very beginning, because I think there's even like people on that will be watching that are like, I don't even know if I'm missing sex or not missing sex. Like, I don't even know anymore, because we're so disassociated, because we're so stuck into this programming that really teaches us that we don't really even deserve or shouldn't want sex as a woman, right? So that's being the number one thing, and that kind of gives into a very, very stressful situation and a very stressful life, right? So we're not only working, we're trying to take care of the house, we're trying to take care of the kids, we're trying to take care of our partner, and unfortunately I think it turns into sex as being like a chore, just something you're doing for somebody else, right? Because you are so programmed to just be doing everything for everybody else and not putting yourself as a priority. So the insecurity can come from like, why do I not have a sex drive? Why do I not want this? Why am I not interested, right? So that's the insecurity. The second one is body image. This is huge for women in general, was a huge struggle for myself, where we're just really not in love with ourselves, or where our bodies are. Maybe they aren't where they were before, maybe they've changed, because this is life, right? Like, we are aging and we're always constantly changing, and we have a really hard time accepting that we are different now, like as the time goes by, our journey, right? So we really get stuck in our heads, in the sense of we are not loving our bodies, we don't love what it looks like, there's like no love, really, actually, at the bottom line for that. So then what happens? We're really insecure with like taking our clothes off, or just feeling sexy, right? Like that's a huge issue for women, in the sense of like, okay, so if you don't feel sexy, if you don't feel confident in your own skin, then how are you supposed to be horny? how are you supposed to be like wanting sex or, you know, even interested, right? So this is huge. This is absolutely huge in the sense of like we get stuck completely in our heads by like comparing ourselves to other women is huge. The other big one is comparing ourselves to images and things on social media that we assume is completely their authentic self, which by now everybody should know that those are the best photos of that person. They may or may not be filtered. They may or may not be modified now. So that's a really tough one to compare. The other feeling is like deep down inside, we create this feeling of not enough, like we don't feel good enough to deserve sex, or we don't feel good enough to ask for what we want. Maybe we don't even feel good enough to know what we want, right? So these are really, really, really big issues, and I'm going to kind of address what you can kind of work on once we get through, because I only have the 3 major ones. So all these things like can be affected by a few different things. Like if we're super, super stressed at home, then we can't really even have a chance to drop into our bodies or even feel that we want something more, that we're missing something. Like, oh my God, like where in the world can I even think about desire when, you know, I'm chasing a 2-year-old and I'm trying to clean the house and I'm trying to work and I get all these stresses, but it's because we're prioritizing everybody else but ourselves. So this also leads to hormone issues. If you are somebody that really is feeling off in your body, a big thing that you can look into is like hormones. Check your diet, check what you're consuming, because you can be draining yourself more than you should be, or not, and then in return not giving the nutrients that you need in your body, right? So that was a huge one actually for me, because I've always had this like yearning desire for connection and intimacy and sex, and I've always loved that. But there was, over time, I had a lot of gut issues, I had a lot of hormone issues, and this like really was a block in my body. Like I couldn't really get myself in the mood. It was helpful, like if my husband literally like we did start, it was like the moment we started having sex, I was like, okay, yeah, like I love this, right? But it was like that initial push was a block for me, and it was a mental struggle, because I was like, why the hell can't I just feel like intimate and like drive to that? Like where is my initiative to ask for what I want, or even just crave what I want, right? So that was a lot of issues with my hormones, a lot of issues with my gut, and then also just over time with failed relationships and stuff like that, and walls that I had built up, makes it harder and harder and harder, right? So if you are feeling like any of these, and I have one more to go over, but like there is hope. You're not broken. It's just we got to work on these things, right? So this one is huge, and I saved this for last because this was a huge thing for me, in the sense of feeling really disconnected and being stuck in my head, for sure. So the third one is like really not feeling comfortable with your own voice. Okay, so this shows up in ways not only in your life, when we're just a people pleaser and we're really trying to make sure that everybody else is taken care of and we're putting ourselves last, right? And then the other big thing is not wanting to disappoint somebody or not wanting to make them feel bad. So when it comes to sex, it's like literally like there's a block in your throat chakra. It's like, I don't, for me personally, it was like, I don't know. It's such a weird feeling to kind of describe, but it's like, I couldn't find my voice. I couldn't find my voice in the sense of saying what really felt good, saying the things that really didn't feel great, which I think there's a fine line. I've always been super clear on like, nope, that doesn't feel good. But it was like quiet until then, right? There wasn't like this flow of communication of what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Oh, I like this. No, I don't like that. It wasn't like, it was like silent until nope, like that doesn't feel good. And so that's not fair in the sense of like your partner, right? So I look back at it now and I'm just like, oh man, like these guys get left in the dark a lot with the sense of like, we just put the pressure on them to figure out what works for me. And now it's like, I look back and I'm like, this is just silly. Like we can't expect our men to be mind readers. Like we really cannot, whether that is in the bedroom or in life. Okay. So I think communication is a struggle for women in the sense of saying what we like or we don't like with our partners. We as women have zero issues with communicating to our friends, communicating at work. We are the chatty ones, right? So we have no issues with communicating. It just becomes an issue when it's something that is very sensitive to feelings, and then not knowing what feels good, right? So not feeling comfortable enough to be like, so this doesn't work, but I really love this, right? Because then you know that their feelings aren't going to hurt. But if you just say, no, I don't like that, you feel like there's a moment of disappointment. And for women, that's really, really difficult to take on. We don't want anyone to feel less than, or that they're not doing something right. So we end up bracing and just accepting the way things are. And it's not fair, right? And then unfortunately, sometimes that leads to, I've talked about this before, of like fake orgasms, right? And that is telling your partner that whatever they're doing at that moment is confirmation that you like it. And if you are faking it, that's not going to work, right? Then you're just going to keep getting more of what you don't like. So that's a huge one. Like you're with like not feeling comfortable with your voice. And in my mindset, I didn't put myself as the priority, even with sex, until probably starting over the last like year, 2 years. That's my journey of really learning who I am as a woman and being like, okay, this is now going to be about me. And the moment I did that, which didn't just take a decision, right? I did a lot of vulva work. I did a lot of like getting in there and releasing tension, spending a lot of time by myself, exploring my own body. And then I was like, yes, like this is what I like. This is what I'm going to show my husband, that I like this. And then it was like the moment I kind of like cracked open that seed, he was beautiful with receiving it and encouraging me and just wanting me to just really dive into that. And it was like, right? It was like this huge flower like opened up, and it made this whole avenue of being able to explore and be comfortable with who I am. So it's a tough nut to crack. But once you crack it, you can start asking for what you want, and your partner will be really, really, really happy that you are coming to him or her wanting to have more sex, right? And this is also leads me into the communication of teaching your partner that you need time. And I think that if you are with another woman, I think this is going to be an easier conversation, right? Because you will be matched, right? You'll be like, hey, like, we need to warm our bodies up a little bit more, right? Like, we need to like get into the massage. Let's get into exploring. Let's like really focus on foreplay and then go from there. So when it comes to a man and a woman, a man, like I've already explained in another video, is like they are ready to go in the drop of the hat. Women need 30, 40 minutes of build up to get comfortable enough to have an orgasm, right? So they need to know this. And really, honestly, they don't. They don't. There's a few out there that have learned this, but more and more, every show I watch, everything I read, every person I talk to, they're like, whoa, we are not on the same page. Men don't understand. And so it doesn't mean that they are uneducated or whatever the case may be. It's just a matter of this type of information is not really out there to let people know unless you're searching in the right spots, unless you like know what to search for, right? So being very, very vocal in the sense that you want more intimacy, more attention, more affection outside the bedroom. Okay. I feel like this is a really big one for women in the sense of like, I don't even get any recognition. I don't get any good compliments. I don't get any good like feedback unless he's horny and he wants to get me in bed. Right. Like, so I feel like this is a major disconnect with couples. And I get it. Like, life is super crazy and you're super busy with this and you're super busy with that. But then you're like, okay, like where's my attention? Where is my affection throughout the day so that I have this build up to when I want to be, so that you are turned on, that you do want to have sex, right? So I understand that. I totally get that. Here's the thing though. Pay attention to how you are treating your partner. If you are like really closed off, if you're really kind of barky, if you're, treating him like another child, all these things are recipes for not getting what you want, right? So what I have kind of like learned to try to teach women is the more that we can focus on what we want and like how to get there is going to allow your partner to roll with you because they're going to get the attention. Like men are really honestly simple beings, and I love that about them because we are not. And we just need to be compassionate and find that spark again that you guys had maybe when you were first together, right? Or maybe you've never been on the same page sexually. So we need to like explore what you like, explore what your partner likes. And then what you do is kind of like compromise and bring it all together and do some of both, right? Like, this is what sex is all about. It's about having fun and having a great time and relieving stress and connecting and finding that love that you have for this person that you know is still there. It just might be covered up from all life stress, right? So just know that I think these are completely common across the board for all women, and it's taking the time to explore your own body first. I love the ideas of like sensual dance, right? Just sensual dance, and then spending alone time together, alone time with yourself, figuring out what you like for pleasure, and then also maybe doing like a reboot on your relationship, in the sense of maybe setting up a date night and like having a really true, honest conversation and saying like, hey, like, let's reboot this whole intimacy part of our relationship and kind of start fresh. And this can be a really easy conversation depending on your partner, or this can be a difficult one, but the deal is, if you are not having sex nor desiring sex at this moment, then you need to start coming back together, because that is your connection to your partner. And at the end of the day, when your kids are grown, it's you and your partner again. And we can't forget about that. That bond is supposed to be a lifetime, right? Like, we're supposed to be falling deeper and deeper in love with each other. And like, that's my goal for you guys. So I'm going to be continuing to put these videos out in hopes that it will help support you women. Hopefully it will support you men to understand the insecurities that women are going through. Since we are so stuck in our head, it's really hard for us to get this information out. So hopefully it's helpful. We will continue to drop different talks on different topics, and I hope you are enjoying this, and I will see you next week. All right.